Short notice. Let's go to the ring. Here's Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the featured bout of the evening. Figueroa versus Lipinec. Please welcome the boxers as they make their way to the ring. First, here is the former world champion from Kazakhstan, introducing Sergey Samurai Lipinec.
Yes, he is back and in black. Sergey Lipinec, he's calling this fight a resurgence because he believes he's fighting at his best weight. You know, he became a world champion at 140 pounds. That was 5 years ago. Lipinec has fought his last 5 fights at 147. He won 3 of those fights, but he was knocked out in the 6th round his last time out by Jerome Boots Ennis, and that was in April of 2021. It's been a year and a half since he's been in the ring. It's the longest layoff of his career. It's been 3 years since he's won a fight. But Lipinec says 140 is where he belongs, where he feels stronger, faster, and he says, Raul, tonight he's going to show that he is still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, he is, even though he's had a long layoff, he said he might have some rust, ring rust, but he says Figueroa has been out too. It might take him a couple of rounds to get going, 3 or 4 rounds, but once he gets going, he's nonstop.
Lipinec calls himself the samurai. You look at his last 2 fights, he's gone 0-1-1. Had over 500 amateur bouts in kickboxing alone. But now back at 140 pounds, where he says it is his best fighting weight and where he's the strongest.
And now making his way to the ring, the former world champion from Westlaco, Texas. Here is Омару Figероa Jr.
There's nothing left. It's called video. Very lost breath.
Boxing has been the life for 32-year-old Омару Figеroa Jr. Says tonight's performance will definitely determine whether he'll continue in the sport. You know, Figueroa became a champion at lightweight, but lately has been fighting at welterweight. He's coming off 2 straight losses, and just like Lipinec, hasn't won a fight in 3 years. Now, Figueroa, he's battled hand injuries most of his career. Took him a year to realize the biggest battle he was losing was his fight against mental health. Омару sought therapy, got medication, psychiatrist, was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD. Figueroa says counseling gave him a clear mind, helped him fall back in love with the sport. Now he says he's found a way to stop fighting himself and fighting the stigma that comes with battling that mental health out.
Yeah, and the question is going to be whether they've done the right work in preparing in terms of boxing for this fight. He's only averaged 49 punches per round in his last 2 fights. He and his father, who's now back in his corner training him, want him to be much more of a volume puncher in this fight. We'll see if they succeeded. And let's take a look at the numbers for this match. The thing that stands out about both fighters is 32 and 33, their ages. It's not that they're ancient in terms of boxing, but Brian well chronicled the layoffs, the fact that they've had losses. Are they an old 32 and 33? We'll find out. And the rules in this matchup. No three knockdown rule. Of course, the ref can stop the fight only. Can't be saved by the bell in any round. If there's a clash of heads or some other foul that causes the fight to be stopped, after the 4th round, it would be official and they would go to the scorecards.
It's time for our main event of the evening. Both fighters are in the ring. Let's get the official introduction from the always classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Hollywood, Florida, as Premier Boxing Champions presents the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by TGB Promotions, Warriors Boxing, and Showtime, and sponsored by DraftKings. This bout is sanctioned by the WBC, the President Mauricio Suleiman, Supervisor Seymour Zivik, along with the Florida State Athletic Commission. Executive Director is Patrick Cunningham. Introducing to you our judges, scoring from ringside. From Florida, Fernando Barbosa. Also from Florida, Daniel Fitzgerald. And from Ontario in Canada, Benoit Roussel. Introducing our 3rd man to the ring, he'll be in charge of this action. We have Christopher Young. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in a WBC super lightweight title eliminator. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, it's showtime! Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with red and gold trim, fighting out of Woodland Hills, California, by way of Martuk, Kazakhstan. He weighed in at 139 3/4 pounds with a record of 16 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. He has 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the world contender and battle-ready former IBF junior welterweight champion of the world, introducing Sergey Samurai Lipinец. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner. Entering the ring wearing black trunks, rainbow-colored trim, and fighting out of and representing his home of Weslaco, Texas. He weighed in at 139 3/4 pounds. His record standing at 28 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, with 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the world contender and all-action former WBC lightweight champion of the world, introducing Омару Figueroa Jr. Once again, a referee in charge. Now to give instructions, Christopher Young.
Okay, gentlemen, receive instructions just from obey my commands all the time, take yourselves all the time. Know what time it is for the WBC title. This fight is a good fight.
Yes, sir. Good luck. Good luck, Coach.
Christopher Young is the 3rd man in the ring. He's got 5 years of professional experience. This will be his 230th professional bout.
Blue corner, you ready? Red corner, you ready? Bam!
Who's back? Омару Фигероа Jr. or Sergey Lipinец? This is round 1. It's scheduled for 12. And they get right after it.
Yeah, you would expect both these men to do this, and they're doing it in spades.
Especially Figueroa, he wasted no time in closing that distance. He walked right up to him and started throwing punches.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising in a way.
He told us he wanted Lipinец against the ropes so he can pound the body.
And Figueroa is starting out as a lefty in this match. He felt that would be more effective for him.
He talked to me about once he knew that Lipinets was going to be his opponent when Broner fell out of his fight, said the first thing they looked at was the Duran Ennis tape. Yes. And they saw how Ennis dropped him a couple of times from the southpaw stance.
Yeah, that was their blueprint. And Lipinets, now he wants to be on the inside. Lipinets likes the idea of fighting on the inside. So he's not going to resist that against Figueroa.
Figueroa has a very awkward style. Look at the way he attacks. He's coming right-handed, left-handed. He hits you from different angles. He squares up, but hey, that's what works for Figueroa.
Yeah, the problem when he squares up is sometimes he leaves himself open. But in general, yeah, it's a tricky way to attack.
Chopping left hand by Lipinets. Figueroa coming back as he attacks the body of Lipinets.
And Lipinets trained by Justin Fortune for this fight. Joe Gusa was in his corner the last time out, and Fortune's been with him as a conditioning coach, but now the lead trainer for this match.
And as we pointed out, Omar Figueroa Sr. back in the corner of Junior for the first time in 7 years.
That's significant on many levels.
Yes.
Who's going to do the better work on the inside, and who's going to be the guy that backs up the other one? That's the question in this fight.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to take a step back.
Left hand rocked Figueroa as he took a step backwards. Oh, the samurai. I mean, he's throwing bombs.
And then as Figueroa came back with a big left hand. This one is not going to be for the faint of heart.
No, it will not.
Hands are free. Hands are free.
Lipinets' shots are always going to land first because he throws the more shorter, compact combinations of Figueroa. He's wide open.
10 seconds, gentlemen, listen for the bell.
Right to the body by Figueroa.
In what was a very dramatic first round, there was a moment that did not go the way Omar Figueroa would have liked. Lipinets landing that left hand that kind of shook Figueroa and made him kind of wobble backwards. And here's where he was attacking, and then that left hook is going to come out of here and kind of off the temple, I think, as much as anything.
Yeah, I agree, and it knocked him off balance. He felt that shot.
Here's the younger brother of Omar Figueroa, of course, the former WBA and WBC super bantamweight champion, the heartbreaker himself, Brandon Figueroa.
Now campaigning at a higher weight class and just as effective as his last fight where we had him on. A great performance.
Those two trained together. Now, Omar Figueroa said this was the first time in his boxing career he actually enjoyed the sport and training. As he again tries to pin Lipinets against the ropes and attack the body. Oh, straight right there by Lipinets.
You know, the comment that Raul made is so adroit because Lipinets' punches are just shorter. And at the end of the day, that may be what helps him the most in this fight. Oh, that was a nice right hook by Figueroa.
Like you ready to clinch? I got you.
And I feel like Lipinets' combinations have more speed behind it. They're faster. Just got caught again.
And an uppercut by Lipinets. And a left to the body.
Lipinets really digging to the body. He's got to do something trying to keep Figueroa off of him. Figueroa's he's in great shape. I mean, he's always known to fight this kind of way for 12 rounds.
And for those who may haven't seen Omar Figueroa fight, this is the norm. You see him take these punches, and then out of nowhere, he overwhelms his opponent.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's always been the guy with the volume. In this fight, though, already we see it's close in terms of volume, and he's not overwhelming Lipinets with the volume, even though he's throwing a lot of punches. Lipinets is also. But yeah, this is what you get with him. The uppercut by Lipinets, which I think is going to be important.
Oh, there's a right hand
listen.
All right.
I tell you what, guys, I'm not too sure his dad's going to allow him to receive that kind of punishment in this fight, because of all the consequences that's going on with Figueroa.
Second time he's been down in his career. First time was against Yordenis Ugas. That was 3 years ago. Chopping hands, left and right by Lipinets. The samurai on the attack.
The uppercut has been the key so far in this, and that's what's hurting Омару Фигероа the most. He will not stop attacking, though, Figueroa. He's a warrior.
See, Lipinets is baiting him in. He's letting him get comfortable. See how Lipinets is covering up right there really good, making him miss. Tight defense by Lipinets. He's gonna counter. He's gonna let it go.
I'm telling you, pick up that hand, okay? You should have picked up that hand. Don't drop it. Come on. You can't give him that opportunity.
Here is where Lipinets would send him down. Just a short, beautiful right hand. That is vintage Sergei Lipinets. And that was toward the middle of the round. Nice right hand by Lipinets. And that was where Figueroa was again squared up. We talked about that. Sometimes switching lefty to righty, he gets squared up and gives the opponent a really good target, and he did it there.
Yeah, he got caught. There we see how Lipinets did it. Very accurate with that shot. And I'll tell you what, Lipinets is a smart fighter. He knows what he's doing. He's got that experience, and he's fighting at controlled pace.
Yeah, correct.
This is round 3. Scheduled for 12. Short shots there by Lipinets off the ropes. There's the right hand. Jacks the jaw, Figueroa.
You know, you might say, well, with a big reach advantage which Figueroa has, why wouldn't he try boxing from the outside? He just doesn't do that.
No, that's not his style.
He doesn't do it.
That's not his nature.
No, just doesn't do it. So even in this moment of peril, he's going to wade in and see if he can make the difference with the power punching or the volume of punches.
It's not only the volume with Омару Фигероа, you got to question, how about the power? Does he have the power?
Yeah, at 140, it's better than it was at 147, of course, but I don't know if that's a difference maker in this fight.
I see a lot of wear and tear in Figueroa in past fights.
Yeah.
I just don't see the younger version of Figueroa when he started. I mean, he's coming off of 2 losses. Abel Ramos had 5 losses, lost to Abel Ramos. Then Ugas, well, then, you know, Ugas is a good fighter.
Again, body shots there by Lipinets. You talk about that fight against Abel Ramos. He got stopped in the 6th round. His corner threw in the towel. He stopped on the stool in that fight.
Yeah. Hands are free. Come on, Jimmy. Get out of there. Get out of there.
Another chopping shot there by Lipinets. A left and a right to the body by Lipinets. Under a minute here in round 3.
Come on, gentlemen.
You can see Lipinets stepping around trying to get that angle, Raul.
Yeah, he is. And is being successful at it at times. I mean, you know, Figueroa, he's just too slow on his feet. He squares up. He's not hurting Lipinets at all.
Here's a right hand. by the Samurai.
Stop, 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 stop. Box. Time.
Respira hondo, respira hondo.
Nice. Let's breathe. Let's
Agarra tu
breathe.
aire, ¿ok?
Get the air that you need.
Ahí quédate. Bien, muy buena pelea, vamos. Ok, ya estás entrando en
It's
tu
a good
ritmo, ok,
fight.
pero
Now
Omar,
you get into
no
your
bajes las
rhythm.
manos,
But
no
please
des
keep
chance
your
que te
hands
pegue
up,
con la derecha.
Omar. Don't let him
Esta
get you with
derecha te
the
está
right.
tirando volada, cabeceale, regresa con
He's
un golpe
throwing that
tú, ¿ok?
haymaker, so just beware of that right.
Hey, te está pegando muy abajo, aléjate
He needs,
entonces, ¿ok?
if he's hitting you too many and low, then just go a little bit and step aside.
Vamos, ¿ok?
Let's go now. Let's step it up. Let's step it up and keep your hands up.
Cuando estés cabeceando,
And
tira el
keep
uppercut.
feinting, using your head.
Ten. Tírame un uppercut cuando vayas cabeceando. Hey, de abajo.
Of course, the father of Омар Фигероа, his trainer, talk to me about this. You train your son.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a different stage in their careers. You know, my son is 3-0 with 2 knockouts, but Figueroa has been around. He was a champion, fought a lot of tough fights. Like he said, I see a lot of wear and tear. If he keeps getting hit with those kind of big shots, and here he was already dropped one time, I don't know if y'all would let him continue to get that kind of punishment, being that the stuff that he's been through in the past. If he keeps getting hit with big shots, I will stop the fight. I wouldn't let him continue like that. He's still good right now.
Saw Lipinets take a step back and then uncork that right hand.
And one of the things I had in the keys for this fight was the uppercut for Lipinets. But I didn't put the overhand right in, but that's been a big weapon for him already in this fight. And, you know, I wasn't sure
how about these power shots by Lipinets? Flush.
He's setting down on these punches, you know, and ripping. And Lipinets isn't a monstrous puncher, but he's a decent puncher at 140. And a former champion, we should point out.
And a guy that went 6 rounds with Jaron Ennis, who's obviously a different level fighter. He's 147 pounds. I mean, Jaron Ennis never had gone 6 rounds, and Lipinets took him 6 rounds. Shows you what kind of fighter he is. Now he's back down at 140.
At a weight that it wasn't comfortable for him, yeah.
Exactly.
And of course, we remember Lipinets against Mikey Garcia giving him a great fight when Garcia was at the height of his powers. Figueroa switching to righty now and fighting from a little longer range, trying to see if that'll make the difference, but then he wades inside again. And then he switches to lefty. And sometimes it's such a random thing with him, that's when he gets caught in between.
Lipinets teeing off here on Figueroa. Body and then head.
Talked about Figueroa wanting to throw more volume. He is pretty much at the high 40s, which is where he's been, and, you know, can't seem to get over that hump.
Ate another right hand by Lipinets.
I mean, the only way this fight gets stopped is if the father stops it or the referee stops it. Because Figueroa, he takes a lot of damage. He takes those kind of shots.
In this round, Lipinets has outlanded Figueroa, according to show stats, 26-4.
Yeah, he's dominating.
Yeah. Breathe, Sergey. You sure? Yeah. Hey, si te la acercas, tira dos
If you're
golpes y
getting
aléjate.
close, just hit him and then go out.
Omar, tienen que ser combinaciones fuertes.
And the
al cuerpo.
combinations to the body, and then you can hit upstairs.
Tira el golpe. No lo
When you're
espera,
going
okay?
in, feinting, then you hit him.
¿Cómo te sientes?
You're doing good. You're doing. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? You feeling okay? Yeah. Give me the towel. Feeling good.
Bueno, ya, modo. Levántate. Vamos. Ya no, ya no.
So far, Sergey Lipinets looking really comfortable. Back at 140 where he became a world champion. And then out for Омару Фигероа, even the adjustment where you think you're going to fight an Adrian Broner, I can pressure this guy, maybe win this fight. He doesn't throw a lot of volume, to now you're fighting a guy who's got power and throws volume of his own.
Yeah, that's a big change for sure. And the concern for Figueroa, whether it had been Broner or anyone, was his defensive liabilities right now, and the idea that defensively he's got more problems than all. He's always had defensive problems, but now it's a serious concern, and you know that's rearing its ugly head here tonight.
Oh, big shots by Lipinets.
He just, look at Lipinets just picking them apart. He picks with that jab, and then he look at.
He's just loading with that right hand. And Figueroa trying to roll with him. But the power connect percentage greatly in favor of Sergey Lipinets.
Lipinets landing 47% of all his power punches. Yeah, which is everything other than the jab, and boy, he just keeps landing those right hands. Lipinets has always had a good jab, and he's really employing it now.
Yeah, you're right now. When he throws that jab, he's more successful at landing those big shots.
And he throws a power jab.
Well, you can see Figueroa's head just snap back.
There's a left to the body by Lipinets, right on the belt line.
Well, Sergey Lipinets is a year older than Figueroa, and he is coming in off a loss, but we already have the answer to one question. He is the fresher of these mid-30-year-olds.
Yeah, he looks very well preserved, Lipinets. I think the layoff probably helped him. When you're a top fighter like that, has been in some tough fights, and you take some time off, it helps you when you come back.
Yeah, and Lipinets has certainly lost to quality. His loss is Ennis, of course, a young phenom, and Mikey Garcia, as I alluded to earlier, still at the top of his powers when he lost him, and performed well in that fight.
There's another right hand by Lipinets.
Jimmy, 10 seconds. Listen for the bell.
Left hook by Lipinets at the bell.
Okay, ya descansaste ese round, okay?
All right, you rested in the round. You still have to move your head more. A little more, a little more.
Hey, de afuera tu distancia, tienes el brazo muy largo, ahora tu distancia.
You could fight to the distance with him. Your arms are bigger than him. You have more length.
Súbete las manos. Hey,
but keep your hands up. Keep your hands up and watch out for that haymaker, that right hand.
Let's go. Use your long jab. Use your long jab. Throw combinations. Hey, you gotta throw combinations to beat him, okay? Let's go. Descansas este round. Tienes que salir más bravo en este round, okay?
You gotta come a little more stronger in this round.
Omar, tienes que ganar este round para adelante. Okay, let's go. Súbete las manos.
Омару Фигероа Sr. urging his son on to throw combinations and to start coming on stronger. This is the 6th round. Short uppercut by Lipinets off the ropes. And a right hand staggers Омару Фигероа, knocks him into the ropes. Lipinets on the attack. Man, tell you what, Figueroa's a tough dude.
He really is. Probably tougher than he for his own good. But and Lipinets, you know, we said he's not a monstrous puncher at 140, but does have pop. And you know, he's hurting Омару Фигероа, but he's not the kind of dramatic knockout puncher that might knock you out with the one punch.
hand by Figueroa.
That was his best punch of the fight.
That one stunned Lipinets momentarily.
Talked about Lipinets fighting good opposition. The records of his last 5 fighters he's faces 117, 1-1. Wow. So that's pretty good. Or 11-1, I'm sorry.
Double jab right hand by Figueroa. As he pins Lipinets against the ropes. Sergey steps around.
Beautiful jab by Lipinets.
He normally averages 26 per round and lands about 6, and that's, you know, good percentage, and he uses it for many reasons, and those were great.
Under a minute here in round 6.
I don't think anything's going to change. And the more the fight goes, I think Figueroa is going to receive more damage.
Yeah, uppercuts, left hook to the body by Lipinets.
It's hard to imagine. We saw the one punch this round that looked like it at least for a moment stopped Lipinets, but it's hard to imagine Figueroa is going to land something dramatic to change the tenor of this fight.
Let go. Let go.
Early in the round, Lipinets had Figueroa in a lot of trouble, landing this right hand, putting him against the ropes, and then just pouring on the pressure. This was a sequence in which it almost looked like he had Figueroa in enough trouble to maybe get the fight stopped or knock him down. And then as the round continued, this happened. Figueroa landing a really nice right hand from the right-handed stance, which, by the way, would probably be the best stance for him in this fight, I think, if he could stick with it.
Let's go, let's go. We need this round.
Este round es tuyo.
This round is yours. Let's go, let's go.
Combinaciones, tírale combinaciones.
Combination. We need to throw more combinations.
This is round 7. Halfway point. Let's bring in our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood. Steve, how do you have it?
No surprise here, Cuss, a shutout. I had to check. Is this really Omar Figueroa we're watching? Because it doesn't look like the Omar Figueroa I remember. He's off balance. He's squared up. He's getting hit with big shots. Not landing with any power himself. 6 rounds to 0. An extra point for Lipinets in round 2 because of the knockdown. 60-53, Sergey Lipinets.
Lipinets continues to tattoo Figueroa.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the Omar Figueroa of the last 2 fights, not all the fights leading up to him. As we point out at the open, he had never lost. He hadn't lost a fight until 2 years ago. But the decline in the last couple of years, obviously, dramatic, and you know, we're seeing it tonight.
Well, he's been fighting a lot of things, fighting himself. Yep. Fighting, obviously, he said the stigma of mental health. There's another right hand by Lipinets. How about the inactivity as well? Just 5 fights in the last 6.5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
For Omar Figueroa.
Yeah, why continue to receive that kind of damage? I mean, from the beginning, 4 rounds back, it's been the same rounds over and over again. Him getting hammered by big, thunderous shots. I mean,
this fight will end from an uppercut by Sergey Lipinets, or it will lead to the ending of it, in my opinion.
There was a left to the body by the Samurai.
Actually, it ends out by his father stopping the fight or the referee stopping the fight. Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you know anything about Senior, that is not in his DNA. It's just not.
Yeah, not likely to happen in that case.
You see Omar backing up here. This is the first time I've really seen him just backing up.
Yeah, I think the will is just kind of starting to sap from him.
Right. And I know Omar's always had that kind of style where, you know, it's give and take, but all he's done tonight is taken. He really hasn't given any shots, and he doesn't look strong. He looks frail to me.
There's the right hand again by Lipinец. Doubled it up.
And Sergey Lipinец, while we're talking about Figueroa's failures, has performed very well in this fight.
Another right hand, then a left hook by Lipinец.
Omar, I want to stop this fight. If they're hitting you enough, you better start throwing, or I'm going to stop it. He's hitting you a lot, so I'm not going to let him hit you like that. How are you doing? You got to throw in this round. But cover up, cover up. Now you have to get him with one. A nice shot. But be careful. Keep those arms up.
There's his younger brother, 7 years younger, Brandon Figueroa. Look at the concern on his face. This is round 8. Figueroa trying to pick up the pace. There's a left hook to the head. The jab, just stiff jab by Sergey Lipinец.
So far, according to the show stats, Lipinец has landed 114 more punches at this juncture than Figueroa.
How about those jabs in the right hand? And Raul, you know this as a fighter, when a fighter says, hey, look, this fight will determine whether or not I continue on in the sport, that sounds like someone who's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, like he's not really there. He's not confident. And I mean, I really hope he really thinks about it after this fight.
Lipinец continues to pop him with the jab and in the right hand.
I hope, as his dad suggested, that he does stop this fight if Figueroa gets back to the corner.
Ew, big right hand to the body.
He needs to jump in right now, though.
Yeah, even now, right. You could throw the towel in right now. There was one of those uppercuts I thought could be a fight ender, and it didn't quite get there.
Uppercut, Lipinец. And I'm with you. At what point does Senior step in and say enough's enough?
And it's a hard call for the referee to stop this fight at this point. That's, you know, the way it's going. So he could in theory, but you don't know if it would come from that. It probably should come from the corner.
"30 seconds left here in round 8.
You know, Lipinec is shaking his right hand. I'm not sure he isn't a little hurt, but he's still throwing it.
And Figueroa just going backwards and just taking punishment.
It's time for this to end.
You don't know what to do.
This is your man who's come back, battled his mental demons, and
you can even feel Sergey Lipinec would like it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm all right, but I don't know. Call it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Омару Фигероа Sr. It says that's enough.
Good job, kid. Good job, kid.
So for the second straight fight for Омару Фигероа Jr., it ends on the stool. And you got to figure, is his boxing career over as well?
I would think so. He said